Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Transformational Talks, where we continue to raise issues and awareness on topics that will change young people's minds and transform their lives. My name is Nedi Tanga, and I'll be your host today. And thank you so much for tuning in. And today, we're going to be talking about running your own race. I actually came across a quote that was saying, if you continuously compete with others, you become bitter. But if you continuously compete with yourself, you become better. So I decided that it's important for us to talk about running your own race. And I also got a definition for what it means to run your own race. And the definition that I got is running your own race means having a very distinct vision of your own life, always looking towards your goals while being aware of of what's around you and not focusing too much on who's next to you, which goes back to the quote that I actually read, which say that if you continuously compete with yourself, you become better. So here in Zimbabwe, we've got quite a number of examples. For example, Dr. Strive Masiwa is one of those people who decided to challenge the economic structure of this country, and he decided to run his own race in that area. He had so many challenges. He went to different courts and stuff so that he had to make sure that his estate had to live on. And today, we are privileged to be having an engineer. Is a very good friend of mine. We'll be talking about how he decided to run his own race. And the fortunate part about transformational talks, we always celebrate the small and the smallest successes that people go through and the smallest decision that they've made, because we believe that in order for one to build a certain thing or to build a big estate, it's all about building from something small. So today we're privileged to be talking to Musa. Musa is a friend of mine. We actually met through career guidance. He did a career guidance session on mining engineering. And please feel free to comment as we progress on the program. To actually agree with some of the things. If you've got a question, please feel free. We'll be mentioning and reading out your comments as the program progresses. And to my first two viewers, welcome. Please just say hi so that I know who you are, and thank you so much for tuning in. And now we're about to hear from our guests. Musa, hi.
Lady, hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Musa? Are you ready for today?
Yes, I'm actually ready. Let's do this.
Okay. So maybe you just need to fix on your audio. I can hear you, but it's not that good.
Okay, I don't know what you mean. I need to fix my audio, but I'll try to lower to raise my voice if they help.
It's all right, Musa. It's good to have you. You've been bailing me out on so many programs. First was the career guidance, and secondly is this one. And just to highlight to our viewers, you are the one who suggested this topic or this series, running your own race. Maybe as you're about to begin, yes, it's you. It's all on you. So you need to explain to us why that topic was very important to you. Maybe as you're about to start, you can tell us who is Musa, to our viewers, to the lovely young ladies out there. They want to know who is Musa and what drives you. Over to you, Musa.
All right, thank you, Nadi. The question of self, or the question of who is somebody, if you look at it, you think to yourself, maybe it's something that very easy. But when somebody asks you who you actually are, no, you try and think of things that you want to say and things that you may choose not to say. So I'm trying to give like a good image of myself, or just to give something that is specific. But I would say that Musa is an emerging mining engineer who has developed vast interest in even fields that are outside his career choices. That is to say, I'm now pursuing things, or rather, I developed an interest in things outside my mining career, things around advocacy, sexual and reproductive health, as well as public health issues. So the best version of me dates back to maybe my days in high school when I became a member of the Zimbabwe Junior Parliament. That is, yeah, that is where my journey started. That is where this Musa that is talking today really started. I have a bachelor's degree in mining engineering from the Midland State University in Zimbabwe. I have worked for say what organization. I have worked for one of the large cement companies in Zimbabwe, and I'm currently pursuing my master's degree in mining engineering under the flagship of the Mandela Road Scholarship. I'm a scholar in residence, so I think in the long and short, I can say that that is Musa, and that is, yeah. We'll get to maybe unveil more of Musa as we go on with the show. And also, you mentioned something
My
about mhm, right, and what are my motivations really? Let
mhm.
me make use of a quote by Leonardo da Vinci. I think that has been my motivation for doing the things that I do. He says that once you have tasted flight, you will walk with your head turned to the sky because there you have been and there your heart longs to be. So for me, of success that I've had in my initial stages of setting out in life, that has really given me that driving force. I have had glimpses, or just few scopes into what life may look like, or what young people these days term the soft life. So I have seen that, I have tasted it, and because I've seen how good it feels, I always try and push myself to do things that are going to lead me to that soft life, to that good life. So that is my major motivation, the need to live a good life, really, the need to be there.
I would say, Musa, you're someone into. In short, please don't argue with me.
I'm not arguing with you. That's not.
Okay, so in my introduction, I actually mentioned that you are the one who decided to talk about this topic, running your own race, what it means to be unique, what it means to have an identity. Out of all the things that you wanted to talk about, you chose this one topic. Why is that?
Okay, so this is one topic that has maybe if I'm to give a background of why I chose this, I think I once came across a survey that asked people what topics they would gladly speak about, for 30 minutes, for an hour, for how long, without preparation. And I thought to myself, it has to be something that is no formula, it has to be something that there is no set down criteria for it. And I thought to myself, it's running your own race. I mean, it's even in the name itself to say that you are doing your own thing. So for me, it's easier to share to people on how to do their own things rather than following a certain narrative, or following a certain code that has been set by other people. So this whole issue really is to encourage people to do what they set out to do, to finish or to see through their goals without having pressure from other people. So that is generally the whole idea behind talking about running your own race.
Thank you so much, Musa. There is a comment from Kosi Ncube, a clean gentleman who is articulate. Thank you so much, Kosi, for tuning in. Please feel free to comment, ask questions. So you mentioned about, your own story. It's easy to talk about your own story. Since this is about running your own race, can you please highlight to us what are some of the situations that you're faced with? What are some of the decisions that you have to make, which made you to realize that this was me running my own race?
All right. So maybe before I get to the actual race that I've run, maybe in my career, let me make I'll be more like a Christian right now. Make a story reference no, that would be important in the teaching or in today's session. I have noticed something. One of the days when I was running in the morning, right, which was I hadn't been running for a very long time, so I just picked out a route and then started running. And then in my running, I then met a lot of people who were also doing their their morning runs. Some were walking, some were cycling, and you know all those people had their own things, but we were on the same route, right? And then I see this lady come by, and then I try and keep up with her because she was faster than me, and she was running at a higher pace than I was doing. So I tried to run with her, and then I only kept up for around maybe 200 meters, and then after that I got tired, right? But then she continued. So let's just hold it right there, and then I'll make reference to this later on. But my actual story now is it's maybe after high school, because before high school I was undecided on on what I wanted to do. Not undecided, but it was a matter of me not knowing really what I was going to become. But from the moment I made that commitment to say I'm now going to study for a bachelor of engineering in mining, that's when I began to see the actual picture of the race that I was going to take. From the moment I started university, that's when I had the clear of what I wanted to do. It wasn't so clear, but I had just a few glimpses of what I was probably going to become. So throughout college, you try and picture out what your life is going to be, and then for my attachment now, I had problems with getting my attachment that almost deterred me, because I was actually thinking to myself, was this the right career to choose? Was this the right path to take? I was just now beginning to get a lot of voices of doubt, doubting myself to say, did I do the right thing? Right. And then I eventually went for my attachment. And then after finishing my attachment, I went back for my final year and graduated from college. And then that is when the real thing came, because most of the people out there in their various fields, when you finish university, you have this good picture, or you have this picture of the grand scheme of things, where you're saying that you finish college, you immediately get into work, right? That's where it really, went south for me, because as soon as I finished college, there were no jobs. I mean, that's the case in the country. So now you think to yourself, you have dedicated 5 years to learning about engineering, you have dedicated 5 years to mining, and now when you're thinking that you're about to break out, that's when things just totally go wrong. So now it was a big mental battle for me to say, I finished as a mining engineer, but what am I going to do later on? I still had that picture of me as a mining engineer who's achieving, who's doing things. But then, because of the circumstances that were there at the time, I mean, there are no jobs, there are no openings. You think to yourself now, wow, what is it that I've done? Like I've come here. So I then got an opportunity to work for an organization that was dealing with sexual and reproductive health. I went there, and during my time there, I still had that motivation in me, or that thought in me to say, Musa, you're an engineer. This is what you want to do, and this is what you have set to do. So even when I was working for that company, I still had that mentality to say, one day there's going to be an opportunity for me in mining. And I always laugh because I had an alarm, I think for 9 p.m. every day. I had an alarm that would say, do mining stuff, even if I was doing sexual and reproductive health. But I would always push myself to read on mining stuff, to, familiarize myself with stuff in my field, despite the fact that I was outside that field. And that was me constantly aligning myself with where I wanted to go, until such a time that an opportunity opened, and then I went for my graduate traineeship, and it was in the mining field. And to some extent, I could see the dominoes aligning, but I had an even bigger picture, or an even bigger image of where I wanted to go. I had applied for an opportunity outside the country, right? And in as much as I was in that particular disposition at the mine where I worked, I felt like I could have been at a better place, because I knew that I wanted to go somewhere better, or somewhere with more opportunities. So, despite having that opportunity at the mine, I could have stayed at the mine. I could have, rose through the ranks and became an even bigger person. But because I knew that it was just part of raising me, it was part of my development, but not my destination, or so to say, somewhere where I'll just end up. I decided that let me take up this opportunity, and well, I'm here now, and from the way I see it, my dominoes have been aligned in a good way, and now is the real beginning of my race. I mean, it's still a long way to go, but I feel like this is the race that I have started. There was a point in time where I almost, when I was working for that organization, I almost thought of getting a qualification in their field, so that maybe I could, you know, change my career choice. Because you're getting these things, it's not happening within your field, so you think of moving to another field, but then somehow I managed to, to soldier on and pursue this in mining, and now it's brought me here, and yeah, that's that.
You said, I thank you so much. I like what you said. You said it's my development, but not my destination. And you also mentioned on how you got to venture into another field, but you never forgot what it meant to be a mining engineering engineer to you. So maybe some words of advice to the recent graduates, to the class of 2020, and to those who have graduated this year. Do you think it's a good idea for people to look for other things that they can be pursuing right now, but also how then can they manage to keep that fire burning inside of them, maybe being an engineer or being a doctor?
All right. Definitely, I'll encourage everybody, if there is an opportunity for you, whether it's in your field or outside your field, go for it. It's no use just sitting at home and hoping that one day you will get an opportunity in your field. I mean, that's the case in Zimbabwe. That's the case in a lot of African countries. We have the challenge of young people breaking into you know, the the industry. So you cannot really say you sit and wait for the perfect opportunity, because a perfect opportunity may never come. What you need to do is you take up whatever is available to you. But then, whilst you're still in that, whilst you are, in that field where you have said, I'm settling for this, be on the lookout for opportunities in your field, or constantly work on ensuring that you're up to date with what is happening in your field. But I wouldn't advise anybody to just sit and let an opportunity go if it is there. You take up whatever is there, but at the same time, make sure that you working on your own race. You are feeding something. Read on something, try and write something if it's possible. But whatever you do, just make sure that you are not idle. You're not just seated.
Thank you so much on that. As you were talking in your presentation, there is one thing that you actually mentioned. You talked about, having a clear vision. You spoke about goals. So one of my questions here is, what factors does one need to take note of when deciding to run their own race? What are the important factors that you think an individual should take note of? Like, for example, you spoke about vision. What other factors are supposed to be clear so that an individual can be on a quest of running their own journey?
All right. So that's the beauty of running your own race. It's yours. So you are fully in charge of it. You you are largely you're a large player in this race. So the first thing that I would encourage, or the first thing that I would talk about in terms of the factors that affect the race, I would say that when you start with the end in mind, right? Know where you want to go, and then if you know where you want to go, or if you know what you want to do, then it's easier then to set up small action points along your journey, and it'll be easy for you. Also, the other thing is you need to understand why you are running. right? Understand why you have chosen a particular goal, and the moment you do that, it will be it will be clearer as to where you want to go, how you want to go. And then the last thing that I would say is probably know how you plan to run your race. In saying that I want to become a qualified professional in this field, know the particular stages or the things that lead to that qualification. So you need to know how to plan your race. It may not happen the same day that you plan it. It may not happen in the same year. It may not happen in the same 5 year gap. But eventually, when it happens, make sure that when the opportunity presents itself, make sure that it's meeting a plan that's already there. It's easier for you to then just enter your race and get on with it.
Thank you so much for that. Moving forward, so as an individual, what are the challenges that you have faced on the quest of running your own race, and how did you manage to overcome most of them, or all of them, or some of them?
Okay. So the first challenge that I've really experienced is I would say regret with mixed with doubt. You you have been presented with an opportunity, and then the moment you choose to leave it, as soon as you leave, you then begin to have thoughts of regret, to say maybe I should not have left this, because now maybe I'm earning less than I was earning there, or maybe the working conditions are now more difficult here than they were back then, or the working the environment and all that. So the moment you choose to run your own race or to do your own thing, the first thing that comes really is regret, to say maybe if I hadn't done this, things were going to be okay, because um, you have made a decision already, and what you need to do is to try and live with that decision, which is what I did. I was quick to accept that I have made a decision to move from from one place to another, and there's nothing that I can do to try and reverse the existing situation. So, because what the mind does, it always defaults to thinking of the easy way out, and the easy way out is planning, or rather reminiscing, to say maybe if I was still that side, if I could have stayed that side, things would have been better and all that. But what you need to do is to convince yourself to say that I have made this decision. This is what I have decided to do, and you will run with it. And the moment you do that, that's when you then begin to think of going forward. Now that I'm here, what is it that I'm supposed to do to maintain the standard that I had before, or to even have a better standard? So you need to be able to overcome regret. And then the other challenge that I may talk of is rejection. Um, in trying to align my dominoes, the time between graduating after college and actually starting working, I applied to a whole lot of companies. I became so efficient in writing application letters. I mean, it wouldn't even take me 10 minutes to write a proper application letter. But then, of the application letters that I wrote, I think I only got one that had an acceptance, right? Most of them were rejections. So these things happen, and most of the time they really are demotivating for people who are trying to break out there, because you have this grand idea of something that you want to do, and you're thinking to yourself, if I join this company, or if I work for so and so, my things are just going to be aligned. Then the moment you apply, you get that rejection email. We regret to inform you that this has happened. Unfortunately, you're not, especially after having your hopes raised so high. You talk to people, they're like, no, we're going to get into the job and all that. And then suddenly it's a no. So that is also another challenge, because the moment you choose to do your own thing, the moment you try and look for opportunities to feed into your race, you get a lot of rejection. But that doesn't mean to say that is the end of the road. It's how you then recover from there. It's how you then rise up and dust yourself that really counts. And yeah, and then probably the last challenge that I would talk of is that of naysayers, or people who really don't believe in you and your capabilities. There are people who always question your capabilities. There are people who always you know try and pull you down. But then what you need to do now is to know why you are running, know where you are going, and really your ears will be deaf to, to their voices.
You spoke about applying for jobs, and getting a few responses. At least you were quite fortunate that they responded that it's a regret. Some of us, they just kept, and you just had to assume that maybe I didn't get the job and stuff. And also, thank you so much for such wonderful information. I have a lot of people, who have told me, I want to do this, I want to do that, but there are few people actually believe in their dream. And thank you so much for highlighting that point. I feel like it's very important to understand that rejection, regret, and not being accepted by everyone, it's quite normal, especially when you decide to run your own race. So now we're going to ask you some of the questions that we asked. So I've highlighted on the screen. Maybe you can be reading as well. So this is from Hillary. Hillary, thank you so much for tuning in. The question goes by, how do you then reconcile mining, its demands and behavioral cultures, and the very different field and reality of advocacy in SRH?
Well, that's a very difficult question to, not difficult, but it's one of the questions that I've always been asked by people on how I managed to balance between the two, or to really, get something out of it. But what I've seen is that first of all, I am able to balance between my career and my passion for SRH. And I've found opportunities within the mining environment where he's saying that maybe there could be, cultures that are contrary to the gospel of SRH that we preach. That is where I have then found that sweet spot of interaction to say, that's where I come in as an SRH advocate, to say that within the mining sector or within the mining work environment, that's when then I come in with my SRH advocacy. And the challenge, because if you look at the way people in mines really, the behavior, or the behavior known from people in mines, it's 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 raw, but then you then try and come in with that advocacy component of SRH to say, you guys have these practices that you are, engaging in, and then I have this knowledge. So now, how then do I balance? Because now I have an understanding of SRH, I have an understanding of the behaviors of the people within the mining environment. So it's now me acting as that bridging gap, and really it's been a nice thing, because I'm just able to balance between the two as that person. I don't know if that answers his question.
Thank you so much, Musa. Hilary, I hope you were answered. If you were not answered, please feel free again to ask in the comment section. Then there's another one. I'm not sure that is it Novuyo or Novuyo Moyo. And OMG, this is exactly what I needed to hear. As a graduate, there is so much pressure with what to do next. Maybe you can comment on that in just a few seconds or minutes.
It's actually good. It's needed for someone who's probably moving from college to life, right? You need this. Just know that it's not so rosy. It's not so beautiful as you may think it is, but you manage. If we have managed, if everybody else has managed, then also tell yourself that you will be there. So it's actually really good to get shows like this, the transformational talk show. It really gives you a picture of the things that are happening out there in the world, and it's really nice. But the good thing is, it's easy. You are going to make it out alive.
Thank you so much, Musa. Novio, thank you so much for that. Then we move on to our next question. It's from Kosi. I understand running, let me highlight it. I understand running one's own race, but aren't your peers and where they are in life supposed to be standards against which you measure your own success? Which leads me to one question that I also wanted to ask about comparing yourself and competing with others. Does that really also help one in running their own race, or it's something that needs to be avoided? As you answer Nkosi's question, maybe you can just also highlight the answer for the question that I've asked.
Okay, that's good. Could you please possibly flash Nkosi's question again?
Okay.
And, um, yeah, it could be possible that where your peers are in their life, that those could be the standards against which you measure your own success. But then it becomes more like competition now if you are to measure your own standards of success based on your peers. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on, or especially if you are to say you are at what's the word for it, if you are at a lower level, so to say, than they are, um, you if you try and put a lot of pressure to be up there, at times you bite more than you can chew, and it becomes a problem for you. So it's always good to learn from your peers. It's good to try and measure yourself against your peers, but at the same time, I feel like you just need to take it at your own pace. That way, you'll not you not put so much pressure on yourself. You'll ease into it, and I I hope I answered you to say that there is no need to put pressure on yourself. Just run at your own pace, because you guys have different like you have different races, you guys have different backgrounds, you guys have you know different motivations, so to say. So if you try then and measure your success or the rate at which you move based on your peer, that could be wrong. That could be misleading. That could be fatal for you.
Thank you so much. Maybe just to help you on answering that one as well. I'm going to answer this more on a personal level. I remember when I began transformational talks, I had people already surrounding me who were doing something that is kind of similar. So it kind of gave me a certain pressure, especially on the posters that I'm supposed to have, on the kind of guests that I'm supposed to have. At the end of the day, it ended up draining me and frustrating me. And it actually made me lose focus of why I began transformational talks in the first place. So sometimes comparing yourself with the next person, for me, it drains me a lot, because imagine you're competing with someone who has begun the race maybe two years before before you begin your own race. You're also competing with people who've got connections. You're competing people with resources. So at the end of the day, you're comparing yourself with those people, and it kind of demotivates you. And at the end of the day, you tend to forget why you began the race in the first place. So I hope, Nkosi, you were answered. Then there is one from Tabisi. It's a very long one. So maybe you'll be reading as I comment as well. I said, I think that depends on the personality traits of the individual. Competitive individuals like me might find that benchmarking their progress against that of their peers works as a motivation for them to push harder, probably because they feel they can do better, can reach the levels of their peers. For none or less competitive group of people, I think comparing themselves to peers who might be ahead in life might be the main reason for unhappiness, depression, and lack of motivation. Musa, what do you have to say about that?
The personality traits of the person. Now, there's something that we term healthy competition. If you are doing it in healthy competition, as you're saying, that you benchmark, you know, using your peers, then that could help you if that's going to get you to where you want. But maybe what we need to demystify is the issue of unhealthy competition, where you're just trying to be at the same level with others for the sake of being at the same level with them, without really understanding the principles of healthy competition, or without really understanding why they got where they are or how they got where they are. You just want to
Mm-hmm.
do it so it's you probably maybe has to do with ego issues to say no, this person cannot be better than me, this person cannot be having these good things that I'm not having, you know such. But then if you're doing it in good spirits, if you're doing it in a healthy way, then competition becomes good, because you risk losing it all when you try and engage in unhealthy competition without understanding the pushing factors behind what that person or that set of people are doing. So as long as you keep it as healthy competition, then it's good. I think you can use it to propel yourself forward.
I agree with what you're saying. This is also something that I've got to learn myself as well. It's what is important is understanding the journey of that individual, maybe that you aspire to be, or that you are benchmarking yourself with, because the moment you don't understand their journey, your factors and their factors or their environment might be very different from yours. So it might frustrate you, is what you're saying, and it becomes unhealthy competition. Thank you so much for that. Then there's also Esnat is watching with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Then Hilary yes, commented and absolutely answered. Based on what you said, I think as a personal challenge, you could perhaps look into a bigger project that targets the mining sector and SRH from the inside, especially considering that artisanal miners are considered a key population in HIV and STI related health services, which are right at the center of SRH and the involvement sex workers. I think it would be quite effective to tackle that from inside the corporate structure of mines than from an outside health worker. Thank you so much, Hilary. I know Musa is taking note of that. I'm happy today. My audience is quite engaging. Musa, you see, thanks to you, you have managed to come to my talks, and all of a sudden the audience is now active. So thank you so much for that. It's about to round up. Maybe you can give us your parting words as people continue to comment. And I see Rombidzai Mazridza. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've got a question, please feel free to ask. Over to you, Musa.
uh, Maybe before we leave, a
Okay.
word out there to whoever is listening. um, Understand that there is only one you. I mean, nobody can do you better than you. So just know that the best version of you that's out there. So take your time, plan your life out, and things are going to work out well for you. Believe in yourself. I mean, you should be able to when they're fresh into relationships, that thing to say that you're imagining yourself with a family, with kids, and all that, and you're giving your babies names and all that. Do that also for your plans. Do that also for your goals. See yourself living the life that you aspire to live, and then that way the vision becomes clearer, and you'll be able to you know to have action plans towards that. I think one last thing: if you ever think of quitting, if you ever think of giving up, just remember why you started. At times you have to be selfish, but it's for the best. Do yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Musa. This was an interesting topic, and thank you so much for being the one who actually suggested this topic. Credits to you. And to my viewers, there's Hilary, Esnat, Tabisi, Nkosi, Novio, and Rumbidzai Mazhidza. Thank you so much for tuning in. There's a comment from Novio, and we need Run Your Own Race Part 2. The good news is it might not necessarily be a part two, but in the month of May, I'll be having different speakers who'll be talking about their journey and the lessons that they've learned in choosing their own race. But if you want Musa to come back again, it's still fine. Maybe you can just highlight in the comment section. You definitely come back. Musa, thank you so much. Maybe to those who have joined late, there's a quote that I read when I began this session. If you continuously compete with others, you become bitter. But if you continuously compete with yourself, you become better. So this is our words from Musa and I and Transformational Talks. Continue to run your own race. Take life as an individual. And one of the things that I like, what you actually spoke about is sometimes when you're given certain opportunities that might not be in a certain career path that you want, it's also good to explore them. But at the end of the day, always remember that calling, that vision, and that's reason why you started doing that degree. And for Musa, it was engineering, though he ventured into SRH, but you remember that deep down, he's still an engineer. So continue to make your goals, continue to hi, how are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. As I was saying, continue to make your goals, continue to being an individual, learning from those who are ahead of you. Thank you so much, Musa, once again. And from Novio, Auntie, yes, please. I don't know, yes, please, to having Musa again or to having other speakers again. Please continue to tune in. I'll see you guys next week, Wednesday, same time, but from a different speaker. But if you want Musa again, please just leave a comment in the comment section and definitely you tune in. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Remember, you're a result of the choices that you make and continue to run your own race. Cheers. Oh, Novio commented, Dance yes, having him again. So Musa, you see, I'll be having you again.
I think
It's all right, Musa. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.